Hey, everybody. My name's JP. Welcome to another episode of the Escape the Grind podcast, where we are talking about escaping the day to day grind of business ownership and entrepreneurship. My guest today is the lovely John Galloup. Hey, John.
You're making me blush, JP. You're making me blush. Thanks for having me, buddy.
I don't know. I do think that you are truly a lovely human, a kind human.
Well, thank you. I'll take
I'm
that.
sure we've both met a lot of people as gym owners and especially people and business owners, and not everybody is as nice as other people. And so I think you're a particularly nice human. It's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on.
Oh, what a guy, man. I'll do my best.
Anyway, John, you own a gym, of course, and it's a level method gym. So tell me a little bit about how your gym started, how it came about, how you came to decide to do level method, and we'll go from there.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, so here's how it all went down. I was head coach of another gym in the area for probably about 4 years. Was coaching pretty much all the classes, every single class, 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 9 a.m., noon, 4:30, 5:30, 6:30 p.m. every single day, except Sundays and Saturdays mornings only, for probably about 4 years. So I put in a lot of work into coaching. Just coached my face off year after year for very minimal pay. I think I made about $10 per class for the first year or two. The most I ever made as head coach was $15.50 per class. And that was also while doing all the programming and stuff that I was not getting paid for. So
what year was this?
So I think I started working there in 2015, I want to say. 2015.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I just want to shout out to the universe. If you have a head coach and you are running them into the ground like that, you should stop immediately, because that person is probably looking to quit or burn your facility down, because that's bad, dude. I did that grind for a while.
Yeah.
But kudos to you for sticking it out for 4 years.
Yeah. And, part of it was just like, I really did enjoy it. Like I enjoyed the craft and art of coaching and I loved getting better at it. But the other part of it too is like, you don't really know what the next step is. I don't think the owner of the gym really knew what to do with me. Like, he's like, this kid has potential, but I don't know what to do with him. And like, I guess he'll just coach more classes to make more money. Right. And so it was just, and he probably wasn't charging enough either to facilitate me getting paid better. So it's just a lose-lose, right? In that situation. Now, we're going to come full circle to my perspective as an owner now, having been in that grind for, 4 years. But essentially is like, all right, so I was coaching a lot of classes, was doing a great job too, like being able to bring the energy, every class, that many classes, per day, that many days per week, year after year. Like I'm really proud of the effort I put in, into my clients. But eventually after 4 years, the owner was in a position where he wanted to sell. He was older, I think in his 60s at the time. And, and I was, really worked hard to help him grow the business essentially. We just couldn't quite meet in the middle. Like, he kept lowering his price, down from what he thought it was worth. And I, kept trying to raise what I could offer him. But we just couldn't quite meet in the middle. And part of the reason why I think too, I felt like, that it wasn't worth what he thought it was is honestly just because like I remember where the revenue was at when we first started. And, I almost single-handedly helped build that business up on the like what was happening on the floor, right? It was like it really wasn't a whole lot of other coaches at the time. And he was definitely working back there in his office, but it's like we built this together, you know what I mean? So we couldn't quite meet in the middle. I was going to leave and just work at like a normal studio. Actually, I was planning on working for like the YMCA, or we had another gym in the area at the time called OptiLife, both like big box studios essentially. And I was going to work there for a couple of years just because, I was like, all right, I got the coaching down. I want to kind of start learning other things on like the sales managerial side and then open up my own gym, because I knew I wanted to open up my own gym in the future. But I had so many clients that were like, dude, if you're going to open up a gym later down the road, might as well just do it now, because we I've been working with these people for 4 years every day for like 4 years. So I knew them really well. And I didn't want that relationship to end either. It's really sad. So I quit, was going to go work for another gym. And then essentially like flipped that on its head and opened up opened my own gym 30 days later, which was, looking back on it, crazy that that happened. Like, imagine like having no plan, no LLC, no commercial real estate in place, no equipment, no loan setup, and going from like, I don't know what I'm going to do, to like, we are starting classes in 30 days. Like, that's how fast it happened. And it was, looking back on it, it was definitely like one of those like miracles, like divine inspired type things, because there's just like no way that all those pieces lined up as fast as they did, but they did. And we started out day one, July 1st, 2019, with, I believe 68 members day one, just because I had, been coaching these guys for so long, and we loved each other and wanted to keep that relationship going. And like, we only had like half the place with like floor rubber matting down. Like, only half the floor was rubber matted down, but we were we were off to the races. Yeah. And so, you want me? I'll just keep going. So just to kind of like bring us up to level method, your question. So our 2019 July. So this is right before COVID, about 6-8 months before COVID. We're doing, we're slowly growing. We had zero online presence. We had no website. We had no Facebook page. We had a private Facebook group, but no Facebook page. We had no social media at all. We weren't even on Google Maps. We were intentionally being a ghost. In fact, we had a couple members put us on Google Maps, and we actually had them take us off Google Maps. We kind of had this like weird underground vibe going, where it's just like, you kind of had to know someone who knew someone to like kind of get in, kind of thing. And it was a lot of fun, right? It was a lot of fun, like kind of just having that, like, like that, what's the word for it? Like a speakeasy, kind of like a speakeasy right. joint,
The opposite of what I'd recommend to most people to
yes.
do to grow their business.
Right. It was literally like everyone's zigging, I'm zagging kind of thing. And it actually did work to a degree. So we went through COVID because we had just opened. Everyone was really hyped, and we had just awesome members who were just very supportive, right? Very tight knit membership. We actually were like just fine through COVID. We stuck together. We made some at home programs for people to do, and people kept posting scores. So it was just, I was really proud of my community and how we went through that. COVID gets done. People are hyped to be back. We keep growing. We went from about 68 members to about 150 members purely organically with no website over the course of those years, right? So we grew.
You in a small town?
So Wichita, Kansas, I wouldn't say is small, because I think the population here in this county is about 500,000. And we're downtown heart of Wichita, Kansas. So we grew, but then probably right around 2022 is like when we just slowly started having people start trickling out, just because of a couple factors. But I think looking back on it, just globally, I think that's when everything started to open up again. Like that 21, 22 eras, when like jobs started opening up, people started shifting around, and we just slowly started losing people, mostly from people just moving out of town, right? We have no people moving into town. They don't know we're here. We have no website. We have no social media. And it's not like they have friends here, because they just moved here. So they don't have any connections to know that we're here. And so we slowly just started trickling down. And that's actually when we ended up looking for hiring a mentor to get this website piece in place, kind of learn the art of marketing and sales and how to just get leads in. And you were really critical in that too, because you and I spent a lot of time on like the Facebook ads side of things, because at the time, it takes a while to build up organic traffic, right? And so it was great to get the Facebook leads. So taking just a little step back, I think 21 or 22, we started doing level method programming, because I really aligned with their methodology, and I really aligned with how it brought clarity to the member experience. So up until then, we were doing pretty just like, strength, Metcon kind of stuff. But I was like, my members feel kind of just like the journey. There's no like milestones in a sense. And having level method, it's just a great way to, just like in martial arts, we have white belts and yellow belts and blue belts and black belts in martial arts. It's essentially the same thing, but for like, CrossFit style training. So it really gives people like, hey, you don't need to be doing muscle ups like the black belts are. You're a yellow belt. You should be doing push-ups to a box and ring rows or something instead. So it just really
Right.
brought clarity. One
Yeah.
last piece of that before you get into the next section is like the other reason I went to Level Method, besides the fact that I aligned with it, besides the fact that it was unique, was one of them is I was like, all right, I've been in the coaching grind because I was still coaching the vast majority of classes. I've been in the coaching grind for like 7 years, right? At this point, like not just like, because I had done some things before then, but like 7 years of like grind at this point. And I was like, I need to scale and I want to systemize how we work with our members in like in a modification sense, right? So if I start hiring staff, we can all be on the same page of like, this is how we scale ring muscle ups for these different abilities. This is how we scale overhead squats for these abilities. Instead of me just doing it off the cuff because I had lots of experience, I thought it would enhance the learning curve for a newer coach. So it was kind of like a long-term play. Like I might not need this right now. My members will like it, but I'm going to need this later when I start hiring. So that's how we made the business. That's how we got into Level Method and all that. Yeah.
Nice, man. Yeah. I mean, I really do appreciate what Level Method does, because when you join a functional fitness, when you join a CrossFit gym, one of the things that is not a selling point is the progression that you experience. It's one of the reasons that people stay, right? Amongst, like the community is a really generic thing, but like it's true. The progression is really great. But if you do it for long enough, people can tend to feel stuck, right?
Yeah.
That's the other thing that is really cool is you give them their moments, right? When you join Level Method, they send you a book, right? I can't remember what the book is, but they put a post-it in at the chapter that's just celebrating people's moments, because Susie and Ted and whatever, they don't get celebrations when they pack their kids' lunch or when they finish a spreadsheet on time, even though they put in the work. But this is one of the few places in their life you can actually highlight the effort that they've put in and celebrate them, which is one of the things that I really appreciate about the Level Method.
Yeah. Powerful. The Power of Moments was the book by Chip. What is it? Chip and Dan Heath. Going back to being aligned with them is funny because I had just read that book, and then like a week later, I heard about Level Method, and I was like, oh, this is like exactly what I just read about, is like the power of moments and rewarding people and stuff. And then what's funny is after I signed up, they send you that book like in a package, like a welcome package. I'm like, I knew we were aligned on this. Like, and so that was pretty, yeah. It was definitely meant to be for our style, for our gym and for our clients.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I just think Nathan is a good dude.
Yeah.
Just another good human being.
He really is. An interesting fact too, as far as that goes, is like, there are not a lot of snipers in the world. Like very few. It's like very few people are actually like credential snipers. And after I started talking with the Level Method people, I found out that Nathan was an Army sniper. I was a Marine sniper. And it's just like, wow, that's just so, what are the chances, right? And so I think we were aligning on several trains of thought then. Yeah.
That's really funny. I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
And that makes sense as to why you're so nice. It's like
Maybe.
the most deadly people on the planet have no reason to go around and like flex their ego. It's like
that could be it. Yeah.
I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for a number of years, and it's like the black belts and all those dudes like that could just that were just savages. Were super nice.
Yeah.
So I think that's funny,
that
man. Small world, I suppose.
Right.
One of the things that you talked about was systemizing scaling. And, when I ran my gym, I was big into systems and SOPs and like, hey, we do it the same way with everybody so everybody gets a good experience. And I think those are some of the earlier systems that coaches, especially small gyms, tend to put in because we're passionate about the actual fitness side of things first. So we systemize the fitness side of it. But as far as systemizing goes, what are some things that you've implemented in your business that have really helped you either grow or maintain, like quality of delivery or status quo?
Yeah. So right before we hopped on this call, for example, I was talking about working with my head coach on next week's programming, and on the fitness side, well, not just like the fitness side, but just like on a business frame, as far as like the way that you provide your product and service, it's like it's got to be consistent. Like, it's got to be consistent. It's got to be really well thought out. And so, like, instead of just putting out like, oh, this is what the workout's going to be, it's like getting into the minutia of like, where's the equipment going to be set up? How many people can this workout facilitate? Right? Like, we have an 18-person cap at our gym. Some gyms don't have caps, some do, but like, we program everything based off of, can this handle 18 people? Who's going where? Is this going to get done in an hour? Do we have enough, stuff here and there? And it's just like, we almost break down the whole hour to like minutes. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, this, you're going to teach this now, then you're going to have them get that. And now you're going to watch them do 5 reps. And then we're going to get this out. You're going to watch them do that. You're going to have them do 5 reps. And it's very just systematic, right? And so that helps keep consistency for all of our coaches to deliver the same product, whether it's 5 a.m. or 7 or 6:30 p.m. And the clients appreciate it because although it's a lot of work, there's less confusion on who's going where, who's doing what, people running into each other. And so they have a better experience. And so now it's like, doing that now more on like the business side of things too is super critical. Like, when do you check in with your members? Like, a lot of gyms say like, oh, we do accountability. It's like, but what does accountability look like for your gym? Is it, do you, look through everyone on Tuesday and then call them on Wednesday? Do you shoot text messages? Do you do phone calls? Do you do emails? Like, how do you do it? And just, systemizing the member check-in,
What is it that you do?
Yeah. So the way we currently do things is I actually wait. So our gym actually is not open on Wednesdays. We have, well, let me rephrase that. We have open gym only on Wednesdays. So there's no classes on Wednesdays. And so I like to give people the chance to come in on Monday and Tuesday. And then if they haven't been in Monday or Tuesday, Thursday, I'll go through our system and just look at everyone who hasn't been in. And then one by one, just go through and text each of those people. Now, I was actually just hanging out with some gym buddies of mine in Texas the past couple of days, and I was looking at how they do theirs, and they like talk about systems. They're like, wow, in fact, I'm like upping my systems to try and get up with theirs. But essentially, like, I think on Monday, the head coach goes through on Monday and looks at everyone who hasn't been in the previous week. And then on Tuesday, they will text all the people that haven't been in. And then they also have like an Excel spreadsheet where it's like, week 1, did they respond? Week 2, oh, they still didn't respond. Week 3 still didn't respond. Week 4 still didn't respond. Then they put an inactive tab. That member is still paying. It's still reoccurring, but it's like, I'm just not even going to bother that person anymore. They'll reach out when they're ready because we're at this point now, we're just wasting our time reaching out to them and annoying them. Right. And so it's just systemizing that. Right. So that's how but how we do it is Thursdays. We check in with every single one of our members who hasn't been in yet that week. And a lot of people need that. A lot of people need someone to stay on them. And that's what a lot of people are paying you for, is accountability.
Yeah. Whether they know they need it or not, they do. And I think what's really important is that you do it on a weekly cadence. Mm-hmm. I would do it at my gym on Wednesdays because it's like Monday is your busiest day. Tuesday is usually still pretty busy. And if somebody hasn't been in by Wednesday, you want to catch them before they get out of routine. But it's all, as long as it's on a weekly cadence, it's good. Yeah. I want to shift a little bit to success, your idea of success, because when I opened the gym, I was the same thing, man. I started CrossFit in 2007, level 1 in 2009, all the certs, everything. Like, I have a kettlebell tattoo. So, super deep into it. And I was, really pumped on it. But I ran the gym for a couple of years and I was like, hey, this is really cool. But it turns out I don't actually know how to run a business really well. I should probably figure this out. Yeah. And so one of the things that people don't really stop to ask themselves is, what do you want out of this? And what is your definition of success? So at the start of your gym, mine was, pay all my bills and take home some salary. But at the start of your gym, what would you say your idea of success was? And what is it now?
That's a really good question. I would say when I first started my gym, I was just so on cloud 9, just owning my own gym, because I started CrossFit right around when you did. Like, I started back, it was either 07 or 08. I can't remember, but I was a teenager. I was like 15 or 16 when I started. And so like, it's been like, it's part of like who I am, essentially, like that functional fitness, micro gym, like group atmosphere. And I just loved being there. And so to finally own my own place was awesome, right? Like I knew I wanted to at some point. So in some ways, like I think that kind of almost was the definition of success, is like just having a studio. Like boom, like success. You're done. You won, right? Um and so just getting it, and then probably too, like just starting out, honestly, just starting out too, I was just so focused on just like providing the members a great experience, and like just having fun, and just living that high of owning your own space, where I honestly like just barely even paid attention to like the finances side of things, because like we've never had a month where we were in the red. Like from day one till today, we've never had a month where we were in the red. Always had enough money to pay bills, to be able to provide for the family and stuff like that. And so like it was just one of those things where I literally would have to tell myself like we need to check on the monies. You know what I mean? Because I was just so not checking. Like maybe like once a week tops, I would go into Zen Planner real quick at the time, just to like be like, all right, who's having billing issues or something like that. So at the time, I wouldn't say I really had like a clear definition of success, just because I was just so stoked, right? And things were just kind of organically happening. But now my definition of success has changed a lot, because my life has changed a lot. Got kids now, got a family, right? Whereas like then I was married, but we had, I think we had one kid when I opened, right? But really young, not very needy from me, right? Like there's a difference between having, a 5-year-old and having like, a 1 month old. Like 1 month old, like, for me is, yeah, it's great to like see my 1 month old, but like there's a difference of expectations for the 1 month old from dad than the 5-year-old from dad. And so, and also just growing as a leader too, I realize at the time now, looking back on it, it's just like I wasn't doing a good job providing opportunities for other staff members, right? Because I needed to hold on to all the money to be able to provide for my family. But now where I'm at is like I see like the big picture. Like I need to grow as a leader to provide more opportunities for staff, so that they don't have to live in the grind, coming back full circle like I told you I would. They won't have to live in the grind for years and years and years like I did, getting paid zilch pretty much the whole time, right? I want to provide opportunities to them. So now my definition of success would look like this. I have a gym that is got enough members where my family is set up for success, where my wife doesn't have to work. And right now that's happening. Like my wife doesn't have to work right now, which is great. So she can stay home with the 3 kids. Also, like for me personally, I want to, make enough money for the gym too, where we can provide. Sorry, let me go back. I also want to make sure that I provide enough opportunities for my staff where I can be home when I need to be, right? Like my kids are like right around the corner from playing sports, right? And like I want to be able to be there in the evenings. Right now I'm still working pretty long hours, even though I'm not coaching as much. I usually am still working pretty long hours, where like I might need to do a sales meeting at 6 p.m. at night. And like that's okay now. But like 2-3 years from now, when my son's playing baseball, let's say, like I want to be able to make sure that I have enough money in the gym to pay somebody else so they can make good money doing those sales meetings, essentially, right? So on the personal side, I want to make enough money where my wife doesn't have to work, and I want to have good enough hours where I can spend time with my family in the evenings and be able to go on vacations and stuff. And we're getting really, really, really close to being able to do that. In fact, I just was out of town a couple days ago and was out of town a couple weeks before that. So we're getting close to that. On like success for like the staff side, I'm like so big on like really taking seriously providing opportunities for my staff, just because I know what it's like to live a terrible grind for years and years and years. And I don't want that to happen to my staff. So my goal right now for my staff, just to like give you like straight up numbers, is like we have one full-time coach, and we just hired another part-time coach who will soon be a full-time coach. She just graduated. She'll be graduating from exercise science here in a couple weeks. So she's going to move into a full-time role. And my goal for them is for them to both make over $50K per year and have reasonable hours where they don't coach more than 4 classes a day, right? And keep in mind too, they have Wednesdays off, right? They don't have to work any classes on Wednesdays. So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, no more than 4 classes per day. They'll be doing some other things in there, but just essentially having a very sustainable amount of work where they're making over 50K. That's kind of like the near term goal. I'd obviously like to get it even higher than that, but that's like that's the next step, right? And then from a member's, experience, like we want to change lives. And part of changing lives, you do need to have systems where people are staying around longer, right? Because you're not going to change anyone's life if they just come in and out in 6 weeks, right? And so we are really working hard on systemizing milestones for people's journeys on like, you hit, this many things, you get this, you hit this many things, you get this, and having coaches involved in their journey at a more minute level than they're currently getting, right? Versus just me checking in on them once a week. It's like coaches are like on top of them, right? In a good way, So yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, man, that's
Okay.
a wealth of categories. I mean, as somebody who just like went through the struggle of, being a head coach somewhere, and I got to work a part-time gig doing construction or whatever to get through those early years. I can appreciate the fact that you are carving out a path for your coaches so they don't have to suffer.
Yeah.
Um,
Or get other jobs to
yeah,
provide, right? Like obviously, like I love having part-time coaches too. And like, shout out to all my part-time coaches. Like I love having them here. But I know that like worst comes to worst, I know they're going to be okay. Right. You know what I mean? Like I'm not putting food on this person's table. Right. Like one of our, longtime part-time coaches, great guy, Coach Tom, right? Like he's about to graduate from like PT school, right? So he's going to be a PT, right? And so like I don't have to worry about creating a path for him just because it's like I know that that's not his main career path. He does this because he enjoys it, because it's fun. I don't have to build a ladder for him, right? Versus like a full-time person, like what does that path look like? Is it coaching 8 classes a day for the next 20 years until you die of a heart attack, making, pennies on the dollar, right? Or are you going to set up roles
yeah,
and responsibilities where they can do other things besides just coach, make money doing that, and have good work-life balance that's sustainable?
yeah,
Because the only way you can get good at coaching is if you do it for, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Like you can't go okay to great in 1 year of coaching. It takes a long time. And I think I have a gym buddy of mine who's a trainer in the area. And I think he was telling me when I was on his podcast that 90%, I think it was 90% of coaches quit in their first year.
wow,
Yeah, I know. It's really sad. But think about it. The hours are terrible. The pay's bad. And like you can only bring so much energy for so long before you just you can't anymore. You get burnt out. And so I
totally.
don't want to see that happen to my full timers.
Yeah, kind of what strikes me at like the core of what you're able to do, people, is that your business is able to earn enough money to provide those opportunities. And I think a lot of, especially like OG CrossFit gyms, but you know, have a little bit of that high horse mentality where like it's not about the money, it's about the people and the impact and this and that. And it's like it is, right? And
Yeah.
that's why we got into it, because we love doing what we do and we loved helping people. But if your business doesn't make enough money, you can't run a good business. And
No.
also, as a gym owner, you should never feel bad about taking somebody's money, because you're literally offering them a longer, better quality of life, right? It's the
Right.
best thing that somebody can spend their dollars on. But can you speak on that for a moment? Just like how gym owners need to basically embrace the fact that they need to make more money to A, serve better, and B, provide better opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And you know what? Even when I first started my gym, because I had been in that industry so long, I saw a lot of martyrs along the way. A lot of martyrs, right? And I remember when I opened my gym, although, like I said, I wasn't looking at the numbers all the time, and I could have been better about that. I could have been better about like projecting and all that too. But I was just having so much fun. I was just, whatever. But I do remember, telling myself, like, I'm not going to be a martyr. Like, I am not in this to not make money. Like, I'm in this because I love it, but I do need to make money. Like, I'm not going to work these crazy hours and not be able to provide for my family. You know what I mean? So like, I'm not going to be martyr. So I had that mentality from the beginning when I opened my gym. And now with my grander like definition of success, in seeing like we have to make money not just for my family but for others people's family, it really is kind of paradigm shifting in the way that you view your big pie that is your business. Because you look at this pie and you're like, I can only slice out so much from this pie. So there's only one option, and that's to grow the pie. We grow the pie and we dish out bigger slices, right? And people part of my paradigm shift was when I saw we have a really big big box gyms in the area called Genesis, who are Genesis, I think they have 60 locations. They're all huge, like YMCA size locations. And, they have a bad rap. Like, they have a bad rap about the owner and stuff, and kind of being like greasy and slime balls and, all that. Like, the owner's got a bad rap. But I was giving a lot of thought one day, and I said, you know what? I said, the owner of Genesis, although a lot of people don't like him and all this, that, the other, I said, at the end of the day, that guy, I'm actually more selfish than that guy, because he's provided more opportunities for dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of employees who can make a good enough living where they only have to do that one thing. And at the time I had 0 full-time employees. And I said, I'm actually more selfish than that guy is. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I need to provide opportunities just like he's able to provide opportunities for his staff members. And so the only way to do that, though, is to make enough money and provide roles for them to do as well. Like, you have to put your thinking hat on, and you have to think about like, what else can these people do besides coach, so that they're generating revenue for the gym, right? Instead of just like paying them just because you love them. Like, they still need to be doing things. We all need to work in the same direction to make money for the gym.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe your definition of it is that you were more selfish, but I think especially as a micro gym owner, boutique gym owner, whatever, CrossFit gym owner, most of us roll into it with just very limited beliefs about what we can do and how much money we can make, and how we can reach out to people. And most CrossFit gym owners are basically of the mindset like, hey, I built an awesome gym, I'm awesome, people will just show up, until they realize you actually have to learn how to market, and then you actually have to learn how to sell, and selling is not icky. And also, if you don't do it, you're not going to pay the bills. And then you have to build the business out from those things. But if you're not able to break some basic beliefs about your starting point and what you need to do to be successful, you're never going to get there. And it sounds like you came sort of pre-installed with some of those things, minus the speakeasy idea, which as a testament to you, that just tells me that you had a really good product and a really good culture. Because if you didn't have those things, that wouldn't have worked at all.
Yeah. And really good culture. We had great members who were like inviting, and, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Right. And so like where I started also, it's so silly, dude. It's so silly is I used to think that it's so stupid saying it out loud, but subconsciously I was like, if you have to market, you're cheating. Like, that's what I seriously thought. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of gym owners think that way. They're like, I'm not going to do paid ads. I'm not going to market, because if I make a good enough product, they will come. That chasing excellence kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, they will to a certain degree, but like, marketing is not cheating. Marketing and sales are a skill that require a lot of work and a lot of attention and a lot of focus. It's not just like you're going to, just hit a 10 out of 10 because you're like, oh, I'm marketing now. It's like, no, that's like a whole nother organization inside your business. And when I started, there's a couple things that I started thinking about that really changed. There's one instance that really changed my perspective about sales and marketing. So, we have this really great gym, we're doing well, we're growing, things are getting better. And I'm like, man, I was visiting, my stepbrother was having his wedding out in New York. And I was like, while I'm in New York City, I want to make sure I go to Barry's boot camp, because Barry's boot camp, right, is just like, I like experiencing different, styles. Like I like experiencing, see what Orange Theory does, see what Metabolic does, see what Barry's does. And I just learn, I take it in and I learn. Man, I went there and I was hyped, right? I was like, yes, like, is it like, because they're only in the big cities, like Barry's, we're here, right? I've heard so much about this very successful company, and like the music's bumping and stuff. And like we go into the room. We just, by the way, just spent $80 to drop in for my wife and I. So I'm just like, let's go. This is going to be a great experience. And no joke, within the first 5 minutes, I was almost about to walk out because the experience was so bad. And I was just like, no one was like, everyone looked confused. I couldn't see what the coach was demonstrating. I was looking around and like, this person's not doing the same thing as this person. And I'm just like, I feel confused. I feel frustrated. I just like, I don't know what's happening. And I can tell no one else knows what's happening. And it was just like choreographed chaos. It's just like a bunch of people shoved into this room. And I talked to one of the members afterward because I just like was like, all right, I'm just going to see it through just to get the workout in. But I honestly, and I'm a very respectful person, I was just like, I can't do this. Like I have to get out of here because it's that bad. I talked to one of the members afterward. I'm like, is it normally this confusing? Because like, that was really like, I felt very confused. She's like, oh yeah, no, that's actually pretty normal. And I was like, because I was like, maybe we got a new coach. Maybe it was a one-off, right? I'm like, I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. And that's when I thought, we provide a better experience than this company does. And so I actually owe it to the people of my city that to let them know that we're a viable option, because I'm doing people whose lives could be changed here a disservice to not let them know we're here. We're not going to be the right fit for everybody. There's going to be some people that don't like our style. There might be some people that feel the same way I felt about Barry's. They might feel about us. It might be like, this is not for me, I'm out, right? Then maybe they'll walk out in the first 5 minutes, right? Like that might happen, but I guarantee in the size of 500,000, populace in this area, there's, at least 300 people, at least, that would love it here and their lives would be changed here. They might meet their best friend or their spouse here, right? And like there's so many good things that could happen if I would just get off of my self-limiting beliefs and start marketing and showing people that, hey, we exist, we're here. You're gonna, this might be for you, it might not be, but if it is for you, just to let you know that we're right here, right? And that's when I had that shift. Like I'm doing people the disservice to not market myself. It was kind of weird because it wasn't even like about the business from that perspective. It wasn't about making more money from that perspective. It wasn't about this. It was like, I can't change people's lives if I don't let them know we're here. I can't let people know, like, we provide a great service. We're here. Like, we have to tell people. So.
Awesome, man. I think that's a really good perspective on it. I don't think it's cheating at all. I think you literally just have to let people know that you exist. And especially if you're built on top of a really awesome service where somebody like you is obviously really passionate and cares, and really wants to have an impact on people's lives, it becomes essential pretty quickly. But anyway, I know that you've got a hard stop here, so I appreciate the time that you've taken. And we'll have to have you back someday because obviously I'm sure we could keep talking and talking. Thanks so much for doing it. Thanks, John.
Two gym owners chatting with each other. We could talk all day, man.
All day.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me, JP.